I left myself wide open. But he's a man of many talents. I would like him just to take a few minutes, because people have been asking a whole lot of questions. Instead of my telling Jack Morlag stories, I really have him give a little history about, how you came aboard, the Tim Allen situation, what you know, but people are still more curious about the end process, which you're more familiar with. You told us earlier in the tour, and those who missed the tour can catch Jack on the side if he's got time. This is a day off, folks. And perhaps you can ask questions of him later on. Jack?
First of all, again, I want to welcome you all back. This is really a special day. Howard first approached me about this a few years ago, and at the time, the owner was cool to it. Let me preface that by saying, Laura's number one, she's a very private person, and number two, she cherishes this kingdom, and it's a fragile environment, and so we're pretty selfish with it. We're very protective of it. But in 2000, the year 2000, I retired after 30 years as a corporate headhunter. And got a little tired of fishing and doing nothing. And I had known Laura and Tim, and I think they heard through the grapevine that I was getting a little antsy, so Laura called me one day. And this was in March of 2002. And she said, would you like to come and run the camp for me? And I thought, well, can't be too bad, not doing anything else. So I came down in March, and I started putting together, at the time, they were getting about 40 kids a week at camp. And so there wasn't a lot of administrative things to do. So I spent March and April doing administrative things. Well, then May came, and it was time to turn on the water. Well, I had a rude awakening. I spent the better part of the summer with either a plunger or a mop.
That was part of the job description?
It was. And to say that the place was in rough shape is an understatement. It had been neglected, terribly, terribly neglected. So I sat down with Laura and Tim, and I said, what we really need to do is get this thing back to its majesty. Let it come back to life. We got to spend a lot of money. And Laura said, do what has to be done, but keep it as it was. And so that was our main blueprint for everything that we did here. Keep it as it was. These benches, there were the remains of about 22 benches or 23 benches, I believe. I was able to salvage enough parts to, I think now we have maybe 13 or 14 benches. But we were able to salvage the ironwork companies. The drinking fountains in the cabins. Those are my pride and joy. Those were made by Halsey Taylor. I had to pull out my junk today. Fine, now I can. They're made by Halsey Taylor, and they were made sometime between around the 1917 to 1919 time period. They're called cantonment fountains, and they were used over in Europe during World War I. They were made by the thousands, and a handful exist today, and they're right here. Right here. I went on the internet for 2 months looking for cantonment fountains to try to find a way. They didn't work. They were a mess. The valves were just rusted out. They were a mess. But I called Halsey Taylor, and I got a hold of this young lady customer engineer. Sent her a picture. She wrote back. She told me exactly what I had. And she said, we don't make any parts for that anymore. But what I'll do is I'll send you some specifications for some of our newer fountains and our catalog. And you take a look and see if there's anything that might work. So I got my plumber buddy, and we went through the catalog, and Dale spotted one. He said, I think we can make this work. And so we ordered one valve assembly, $395. And by golly, we got it in there, and it looked like it was going to work. So I took all the fountains out and took them to Wheelock and Sons in Traverse City and had them powder coated. And then we assembled the first unit, hooked the water up to it, and it worked perfect. So I got on the phone and I ordered 9 more. And all of those fountains work very well now.
Another 100 years.
Yeah, for another 100 years, exactly. Exactly. So, you know, that's kind of been our philosophy, is keep this place the way it is. It took me probably 3 years. I think it was probably my 4th year here. By the time that we ripped out all the plumbing in all the buildings. We ripped it all out, replaced all the plumbing, we replaced all the electrical, and started working on streams. But I was really, really busy the first 3 or 4 years, and I didn't have a chance to actually get out and about during the camp and see what was going on. And it was probably that 4th summer, we had gotten our campers up to about 80 a week, and camp was growing. And I finally had time to get out and about and see what was going on. And I remember it that September, after the last of my campers had, my staff had left. They had left in August. And I was busy for a month just shutting things down and picking things up. And then I'm walking out on the rec field one day, and in the back of my mind, I could hear the laughter. And I could still kind of visualize things. And then all of a sudden, I got this little pain in my heart. It's called lonely. And that was my epiphany for this camp. Because all of a sudden, I realized there's something going on here. There's something really special going on. You've got kids from all over the country, kids from all different makeups. You know, kids from wealthy families, kids from no families, and everything in between. And they all come for a week or 2 or 3 or 4 weeks at a time, and they all get along. I don't have any problems, but I have very, very, very few problems with my kids. And I think a lot of it's the environment. And over the years, I've met so many people just like you that have come by and tell me that they were a camper or they were a staff member back home. And it's had quite an impact on me. This is a good place. This is a really good place. I tell my staff when they come in for training, what we do here is we unleash some magic. We've got this big pot. It's a 26-acre pot. And that pot is made up of towering beech and maples. It's made up of lake shore. And it's made up of 27 little cabins scattered all over the place. That by itself is nothing. It's real estate. That's all it is. Real estate. So we have to add some ingredients to it. The first thing we do is we add a bunch of campers. We pour them into this pot. We shake them up, stir them up a little bit. And then the final ingredient, staff. We pour the staff in, we turn them loose. Stir it up and let it happen. And it happens every time. There's magic. From the first day to the last day, there's magic.